this thing sounded like it was completely falling apart. The suspension was like banging and clanging, and people normally look at Rx7's anyway, so when you're making a lot of really awful noises, they look even more, which makes it really funny. What's up, everybody? Today on TK Driven, we're going to go over what all has been done to the Quicksilver, the 93 Silverstone Metallic Rx7. So, about late April of last year, which is 2019, I got the itch for a car that I could use more like a normal car and still be really fun. So I had the Raven, which is the 95 black Rx7 that I've taken it a few two ticks far into race car mode. No air conditioning, power steering, that kind of thing. Super loud exhaust. So I was looking for something that was still super interesting to me, that I could still use as a normal car. So I was on the Rx7 forum, rx7club.com. Hadn't been on there much in the last couple years, and saw this one for sale in Knoxville. And I've always loved the silver on the Rx7's, the FDs. I think it makes it look a lot like a liquid aluminum when they're in silver, because there's just no angles to the car. It's all fluid, and the silver has a way of accentuating that. So I saw the car for sale, and it was close enough to me that I could easily drive there in the evening. So I contacted the seller and worked out a deal, and called up one of my buddies. Actually, it's my buddy that has the S2000 that he just purchased, Josh. So I called him up and asked if he wanted to run down to Knoxville with me, about a 3-hour drive, to pick up a car. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So we went and got it one day. So when I picked it up, I haven't done, let's see, what have I done to this car? Well, when I picked it up, it had the original 93 front bumper on it, and it had, yeah, that's right, it did have an R1 lip. This is a base model, you can tell from the seats, but it did have an R1 lip, and I think that's pretty much it. Exterior, the windows are still not tinted, and then I added the spoiler on the back that you saw in the parts in one of the videos. And then, so here's a list of what all was done to it, what's on the car before I ever even got it. AEM wideband with a wideband gauge, that's down here. It's got a Power FC, and it was tuned by Steve Kahn, which is a pretty well-known famous tuner in the Rx7 community, and they tuned it at stock 10 psi. If it had been me, I would have at least turned it up a couple pounds. If you're paying for a tune, I don't know why you'd go with 10 psi, but that's what's been done. It has an M2 intake air box, M2 aluminum radiator, M2 medium size stock mount intercooler, which Raven has a M2 intercooler too, but it's the large mount, so you have to relocate the battery. This one you don't have to relocate the battery. AEM ignition booster, ACT clutch. It's got a super pump, which is a really common upgrade for these. You just take the stock super fuel pump and it drops right into the tanks in these. Raven is also running a super pump in the tank, feeding in an 044 in line. All the vacuum hoses have been replaced with silicone. Again, a normal, very common thing that you basically have to do if you're going to be running this stock sequential system, because it's incredibly complicated. It has something like, I don't remember exactly, over 40 individual vacuum lines. Racing Beat stainless dual tip muffler. It's basically one of the quietest ones you can buy. I had it on Raven years ago, and you almost can't tell that it's not stock. It's very quiet, which I especially like for this car for its purpose. M2 downpipe, resonated mid pipe, which, depending on when I release this video, we've already changed to a high flow cat. And it had J Auto pillow ball bushings, which I'll tell you more about that here in a second. It had new Bridgestone Re71 tires, Chiquico 5-way adjustable shocks, which were blown, Ibach Pro springs, Racing Beat front sway bar, and Hawk HPS pads. Had a clean title, a working oil metering pump for you non-rotary people, you normal people. The FD Rx7, and I assume the other Rx7s, but I don't know as much about them, from the factory has a pump that slowly puts crankcase oil, just your normal engine oil, into the combustion chamber to lubricate the apex seals as they rotate around in there. So a lot of people end up deleting that and running a 2-cycle premix in their gasoline, because a lot of crankcase oils are not necessarily designed to be burned, especially some of the synthetics. So this car still has the oil metering pump, and I also premix a little bit too, just for extra lubricity. What else did he say? An Optima red top, which I'll show a picture. There's a tie-down strap like you would use to haul your furniture, holding it down. I don't know what the story is on that, but I got to get a battery tray to replace it for sure. The motor was rebuilt by Dave Disney, which is a well-known member of the Rx7 forum, or at least he was back when I was super active. It has a stock port engine, so the engine has not been ported. Raven's engine is a large street port, and for daily driving, that's actually better. You maintain a lower torque curve. That torque happens sooner than it would if it was a ported motor. Just picked up some Culvers. Hope you have Culvers wherever you are. It's really good. So, went to Knoxville to get the car. Already smitten by it before I ever got there, of course. And I have a bad habit of just once I've decided, I've decided. So, no negotiation on price. Just paid him what he asked. Get it home, no problems at all. It's not had any mechanical problems. Well, drivetrain problems. The suspension, the Chiquicos that were listed in the for sale ad were totally blown, and the pillow ball bushings were like the hardest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never replaced bushings on a car until this car. This car, it had to be done. So at like sub 5 mile an hour speeds, this thing sounded like it was completely falling apart. The suspension was like banging and clanging, and people normally look at Rx7s anyway, so when you're making a lot of really awful noises, they look even more, which makes it really funny. So I got the car home and immediately ordered all new pillow ball bushing. Well, actually, I don't think they're pillow balls anymore. Some of them are pillow balls, some of them are not. I ordered all new bushings, let's put it that way. I went with the, what are they called? PowerFlex, I think it is. It's still from J Auto. Great place to do business with. But and then I went ahead and did Tyne Flex Z coilovers. Just did all of that at once. So I got the car home, took it all apart, and it was down for like 2 weeks waiting on parts and working on it by myself. Rented the bushing press from AutoZone, and just spent many late nights putting all those in, and then did the Tyne Flex C's, and went ahead and did painted the calipers back to red. Actually, I don't know if they were red from the factory or not, but either way I painted them red, and put stainless brake lines, or braided stainless brake lines, and yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and then took the put all new front end links, painted the Racing Beat sway bar, and I believe that's all that I did at that time. So it came with the original 93 wheels, and I had a set of 99 Mazda wheels on the black car, which I got wheels for, so they end up coming on this car. So it has a 99 front end, and it also has the 99 wheels on it. Excuse the camera, I'm learning how this tripod works. Obviously I'm not very good at it yet. So it has the 99 wheels on it, all new suspension, painted brake calipers, and the front sway bar. back to Racing Beat Red. And I think that's it. And then you've seen the video for the whale tail carbon fiber front. Oh, and then I've also done the 99 front end and front lights that go with it, of course, and a 99 spec lip that came off of Raven. And I think that's it. Inside here, I'll have to show you here in a minute. It's basically stock. There's 3 gauge pods in the lower section of the double din where the stereo would be, and then there's a Peter Farrell Supercars boost gauge on the A pillar. There's a Mazda Speed carbon fiber shift knob, and then somebody did an excellent choice, if I do say so myself. It wasn't me, it was on the car. The shift boot has red leather stitching, and so does the e-brake, and it just really looks nice. Oh, I thought of something else. I'll probably go over it in another video, but I'll just mention it here. This car had really rough interior plastics. The 93 Rx7's had shiny plastics, and they weren't textured at all, and they scratched like super easy, like as soon as you bought the car, from everything I've read. Sorry, the camera keeps turning around. And they scratched super easy, and they just looked awful. I'll show you a picture, or actually it'll probably end up being another video because it's going to be a long one. But anyway, I redid all the interior plastics, so slowly this car is just becoming more and more drivable, and hopefully stays reliable, and it's just a joy. It's an absolute joy. Got the air conditioning running right now. Power steering doesn't really matter unless you're at super low speeds, but when you are at low speeds, it's fantastic. I mean, you can't beat it. I don't know that I'll ever tint the windows. I haven't decided yet. Future plans for this one, not a whole lot. This one will remain similar to the way it is now. I may put different injectors in it and up the boost just slightly down the road. We'll see. I don't know. There's a couple little interior parts up here that are cracked. I'd like to replace those. And I think that's about it. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. That's the overview of Quicksilver. If you wouldn't mind, please destroy the like button and subscribe. And I appreciate it. See you.